Hello, my name is Jack Stanley, and I'm the co-founder of the Tech Academy. I'd like to welcome you to the Tech Academy podcast. The Tech Academy operates a 15-week software developer bootcamp. Our program can be taken online from anywhere in the world. You can find out more at our website, learncodinganywhere.com. That's learncodinganywhere.com.
On this week's episode of the Tech Academy podcast, I interviewed Johnny Reiser, one of our favorite graduates. Johnny came to us as an experienced quality assurance personnel, but he had very little coding knowledge. And through his work at the Tech Academy, he landed a phenomenal job. He'll tell you that story and a bit of backstory on how his martial arts studies relate to his technology career. It was an incredible conversation. Enjoy. You listen to podcasts at all?
When I have spare time, which is not a whole lot.
Yeah.
2 kids, full-time job, and basically a hobby/career of jiu-jitsu.
You're very busy.
Very busy.
Wow. What do you like to listen to podcast-wise?
Mostly TED Talk type stuff. Just things that I am not into.
Right.
It's like, because I'm so tech-oriented, it's like I like to get things that aren't tech-oriented.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me about that plant.
Yes.
Tell me about that new bee you found.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listen primarily to comedy and nerd sort of oriented podcasts, although there's a podcast from a guy named Dan Carlin called Hardcore History.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I think you might really enjoy that.
I like history.
Buddy of mine turned me on to it. He said that he found, of all things, a 10-part series. Each one's about 45 minutes long. Mm-hmm. A 10-part series on Genghis Khan.
Huh.
And he could not get enough of it. I'm like, really? 10 parts?
450 minutes worth?
Oh, man, so good.
Really?
It was so good. Yeah. So
I'll have to get that
check out
before I take off.
Hardcore History. I enjoyed him a lot. So I've caught little bits over the years, since you came through and graduated. I remember when you got through the program and got your job, it was cool. It was the highest paying job to that date that anybody had gotten out of the program. And we all just took a huge, wow, that's fantastic. And it really helped us to be able to talk to people who had prior experience in technology but had been away from it. But I've forgotten some of the details. I know that you, at one point, you worked for Microsoft back in the day, right? And a few other outfits. What was that earlier section of your career like for you?
Well, it's interesting because I started, age myself, 20 years ago. 1997 is when I was at Microsoft.
Okay.
And what they were looking for is basically, I hate to say it, but intelligent grunt labor. Somebody to come in and manually test every known piece of software on the planet against their newest operating system, which is going to come out, Windows 98. Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So
it's actually that and XP are my 2 favorite Windows OSs over the years.
I love XP. I still have XP on a laptop at home. But that's how I got pulled in. I was an old sales guy. I knew computers. I knew my way around them. And they just wanted people sitting down and installing, using, uninstalling, and then finding the issues around that. And that's how I started to learn QA. And I was there, I kid you not, I loved it there. I was working 112-hour weeks, sleeping under my desk, sleeping in an office. But so was everybody else. It was we were all the same age. We all went out and partied together. We all came back in. There was cafeteria on site. It's like you didn't need to go anywhere. I didn't have kids, didn't have anything. So it was a blast. And it was a full bore, hey, this is the industry. And from there, I just progressed upwards. I got more knowledge. I got more experience. I went from being a lowly tester to understanding how to do a little bit of lead work. But the problem is I never had developed a core fundamental skill set. It was always, hey, you need to do this. Okay, I'll go learn how to do that.
And you figure it out in that context. To do that exact job.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then as time went along, I was doing a lot of contract cowboy work, which was basically, you work during the fall and winter, early spring. For that contract, you take off for the summer, you go out and have fun, and in the fall you come in for another contract. And then what I started to find is that as I had kids, I needed a more secure working environment, which meant that I stayed longer and longer and longer. And at my last position before I came to you, I was there for 3 years. And when I came
Under contract?
No, full-time job.
Okay, all right.
Full-time job for 3 years, which is a lifetime in this industry. It's so many things pass you by. But when I came out, my industry, I'm QA, my industry had changed dramatically. And they were looking for coders. They were looking for people who could do automated testing. They were looking for more people who were able to sit down with the dev and follow through the code. And as I talked to more of the HR people, which I was not at all used to having to do, it's like one job, I'm hired. It's like I got a great skill set. I've done this. I'm personable. And it was just slam the door, slam the door, slam the door. It's like, what do I do? That's when I started looking around and found you guys.
Okay.
And realized once I started the classes, I never got a fundamental understanding or fundamental training in the basics of computer programming and computer software and QA. It's just, it was a ad-libbed, take it as I needed it type adventure.
Which, just to cut in for a moment, that says a lot about you and your analytical ability to be able to think on the fly and figure it out and get a product.
Oh, yeah.
Deliver something valuable to the company. But tell me about what happened for you as you started to put in those fundamentals.
It made me a better everything. I mean, I can't pick out a thing that it didn't help on it. It helped me understand my own career path better. It helped me understand what the programmers were doing better. It helped me understand what the management was looking for and asking for. As I started to look at how the code interact with the database and the interactions with the database that I'm using it was mind-boggling. It really was. It's like, it's things, you don't know what you don't know. And until you're able to set aside your ego and say, okay, I can sit down and learn this and dump out the glass and say, teach me. Until you're able to do that, you're going to be stuck behind things that you don't know.
That's fantastic.
It was a life-changing experience.
I learned long ago that the primary barrier to learning that there really is thinking you know all about it already.
Yeah.
It's one of the key things that we realized early on we had to look for in who we're going to accept as a student in the school. Because it isn't just intellectual capability. I've worked with people that are incredibly brilliant, but are unwilling to consider the idea that, like you said, there might be something they don't know. And just the awareness that you actually don't know the things you don't know, and you're going to find them. You can have a couple of different points of view about that. I love yours. It's really deep, and look what it's done for you. Now, I know you're going to talk about this in a bit of detail later on in your tech talk to the students, but what happened when you left here? How did it go, and what's it been like?
It has been awesome. When I left here, actually, I didn't leave here and get a job. I got a job as I was here, as I was stepping out the door. I started to add it to my resume, and I had not applied for any positions while I was in the middle of the program. It was only near the end of it when I saw a few things and somebody had reached out to me, and I had 3 job offers within a week, and they were all. I'm thinking back on it because it's been 3 years now, and they were all wanting to talk to me because I had the Tech Academy courses on my resume. It's like I've taken this, I'm taking this, this is on the horizon. And they all wanted to talk to me because I had not only the experience I had, but specifically because I had the Tech Academy, the courses I took, what I'm taking, and what I will be taking.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is. It's really neat. It's a great selling point. And it was a gift of almost too much because it was hard to decide between the 3.
Oh wow!
I know, it's like
that's a tough thing. What a dilemma to be able to tell your family about.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a bad day at work. I just cannot figure out which one of these 3 awesome offers to take.
Yeah, but I landed in a spot with a company called Spindwell, which was great because it was a startup underneath a larger company. So it was the startup, but it had the money backing of being able to do a lot of stuff. And best job I've ever had. Really, 20 years, best job.
Wow.
And it's the idea they had was that there is no QA in development, there's engineering. So I came in as the QA department because they didn't have any, and I put everything in place for them. But I was treated on an equal footing as the engineers. They did the training, I did the training.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that isn't that usual.
That is not
That's
very usual
pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, because us developers, privy to some very, very specialized knowledge, and not everybody, mere mortals, can understand it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. It is. It is just engineering. The best, and I've spoken about this before. The best relationships I've ever had with QA have been incredibly collaborative, and it's a peer-to-peer relationship. I need that second set of eyes that looks at it from a different point of view, and always, every time, will catch something that I've looked at 100 times and didn't see.
Yep.
It's just, and you just get better and better, and they get better as well as they see how developers think, and it's very to use some modern business parlance, we got to have one of those little bingo cards. I'm about to say, it's very synergistic.
Now
it's
we
very
need to use the
mutual
word organic
collaboration.
somewhere.
Say it again.
Organic somewhere.
Yes, organic, absolutely. And the one that my staff will never stop teasing me about, robust.
Yes.
C# is a very robust programming language.
Yes, Spindwell was awesome. Not only that, the whole idea behind how the engineering team was led. Chris was the head of engineering, and the way he set it up is that we had not only coding going on, but a parallel RSpec, basically unit testing going on as well. So what that does is, as you're writing the code and you're writing the testing against the code, it makes the job of QA not only easier, but allows us to dig in deeper into the code when we're not worried about the small fry that they've already caught with unit testing and RSpec type stuff.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. What's RSpec?
RSpec is a coding, basically a language they use to do their unit testing. It sets up a set of if Y then X, blah, 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 blah. And it's just moving the code around a little bit.
That's great.
Exercising it.
Okay. Wow. All right, I'm going to deviate from tech here for a minute because I'm very intrigued. Tell me about your martial arts training and how you got into this and what it's done for you.
Martial arts, I've been doing it since '87, and I went through different forms, found jiu-jitsu, a style of jiu-jitsu called Danzanryu. It was great, thought I was doing great. Again, this is kind of parallel to where I went with my QA career. Back in '97, we decided that we'd go up to Seattle and do a tournament because UFC had just started.
Oh, yeah.
And, hey, I know all this jiu-jitsu stuff. We'll do great. And I'm teaching classes. And all of my students lost. All of my teacher students lost. I got a silver medal, not because of what I knew, but completely by accident. And I was so disgusted with it, I threw my belt down and said I quit.
Wow.
And I didn't pick it back up again until 2013. Amazing how that happens again with the code school. And it was I was doing a lot of research on it because I wanted something that was effective and something that made sense. And SBGI Portland, run by Matt Thornton, you might know one of his students called Conor McGregor.
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, one of his students over in Ireland trained him. So, but his idea of martial arts is fundamental. You learn the fundamentals, and you can't fake it any more than you can fake being a brain surgeon. And that just got me.
Yeah, I know. They caught me at the hospital real fast.
Here, hand me that scalpel thing. And that's part of why I like this form of martial arts, jiu-jitsu martial arts. Not only is it well thought out and fundamental in its aspects, but the idea of that self-exploration, that self-path into that exploration, and was keeping to the fundamentals. It's pretty long parallel path to what I do with QA. You would never connect the two, but you're looking for problems and you're solving problems.
That's cool.
And being able to have a fundamental understanding of what you're doing to solve that problem makes it so much easier. Also, allowing yourself the knowledge that you don't know everything and that you're not going to go out and fake answers also allows you to solve problems faster and quicker.
That's neat.
Yeah.
There are so many common things between all these different realms of human endeavor.
Yeah.
And each one of them could, you can think of it as a game, and you've got to know those rules. You've got to know, well, what is it I'm going to bump up against? So what are the things I have to overcome? What are the abilities and skills that are needed to be able to just have as a baseline ability to operate in that game, and what's the purpose of it? Where are you heading? I love that this industry is constantly changing. I don't think just for the sake of changing, but because we all understand that there's always going to be a better way to do a thing. You can do something that works and it gets the product out the door. right? But it might be that what you created is Windows ME, and it could be better. The younger people in our listening audience will have no clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those who lived through the pain of Windows ME will understand. Or it might be that you have what you come out with is XP, but again, it can always be improved upon. And it's the same thing with coding or obviously it sounds like with martial arts that there's always a higher level of ability one can get to, a higher level of understanding of the game that you're playing. Part of what I love about this industry is you're putting people into an area that if they choose to approach it with a very dynamic, long-term look in mind, this industry will accommodate that. I've got a good friend who works in QA, but it's in the material goods industry. It's the same sort of QA practices they pioneered in the 20s and 30s are still being used today with some minor modifications that bring technology in. And there's not much room there for, you've got the spec for tolerances, and you basically have to check whether or not it met tolerance. This industry isn't like that. It's constant exploration and change, which is great. So, very cool. Okay, so there's another thing. You got a kid. Are they
kids?
Two kids. Are they of age where they can start looking into technology?
It's interesting you ask that because my wife has her PhD in educational technology. I've been in the tech field since 1997. So we're constantly looking at areas that we can give them exploration into the area of learning how to code because it's something he's going to need to be able to do. They're both going to need to be able to do. And at the same time, making sure he doesn't get too much screen time. So it's more like games and stuff like that, physical moving of games and writing of games with small little programs on the iPad where he can play at it.
How old is he?
He's 7 and she's 4. So she's just moving into it, but he's doing more and more play with it. And there's more interaction with the school. We're out in the Westland School District. And they've got really good programs for that. The libraries are really open for it. And it's just a matter of making sure that you're not putting barriers up in front of them and letting them explore things that you give them so they learn the basics of understanding how to code. There's old Robo Rally was an old one that we'll probably introduce at some point. But there's all kinds of little games you can give the kids so they can start to learn at an early age.
That's excellent.
And by the time he's in junior high, I'm going to guess that he's going to be surpassing my level when I was a mid-level adult. Knowledge and experience and expertise. Yeah.
It's an area I've been looking at increasingly as we've gotten the school up to a point where the core business is doing well, and we can start to look outward. The idea of being able to help kids in elementary, middle, high school is just something I'm much more interested in now, or I was always interested in being able to do something. And I've had a lot of conversations with people about it. I'm trying to talk to people who are not in technology, what it's like for them to have to bump up against this. And one of the things I've found is they don't actually understand how we think, how a software developer thinks. And we had to solve that, as you probably recall, on the overview of software development course. Like, how do we think? Now, you already did because you'd worked in the industry, but I think kind of what we've figured out is that because they don't understand the actual nature of the machine, the computer, how it works, it's difficult to make that leap to how a developer thinks, because I think the way a developer thinks rolls all the way back to they know how the machine works. And so every bit of how they approach a problem is based on those core fundamentals of it can only ever do one thing at a time, even though it may look differently. It has a certain small set of instructions that it can operate on, and it's entirely based on the concept of yes or no, true or false. And there's no prevarication, there's no fuzziness in there. And these fundamentals that you and I know well now, if we can find a way to get the nature of the machine well understood, then ideas about coding and flow charts and that sort of logical approach, I think will come a lot easier to students, younger students. And now that area of technology, like the way people think who are in technology, will be a lot more accessible to them.
I think you're right. I mean, right now I'm going through and learning Java for work, and I was thinking along the lines of what will my kid need to learn this at his stage, and what sort of building blocks can I give them? And I go back to the learn through play. Learn through those games where it's basic. You're learning basic yes/no answers. You're learning basic yes/no flowcharts. You're learning basic fundamental stuff so that when he gets there, he's able to go, okay, the language is a little different, but once I learn the basics of that language, it's the same thing.
Yep. What I have in my hands I'm doing a visual thing on a podcast.
No, look, really.
We always test it. See, look, I'm holding up to the microphone. What can you see? This is our one of 4 new books we're publishing. It's called Learn Coding Basics in Hours with Python. All right. And right at the beginning here, it clears up about a dozen key terms. But then we have this section on the 5 key elements to any computer program. Entrance, control and branching statements, variables, subprograms, and an exit. That's really all there actually is. And so we do that on every single one of our training offerings we have now. But those building blocks, you're absolutely right. The if, then, else, the conditionals, the variables are an interesting thing to try to illustrate. Right. But if a person can get those 5 basic things and they understand a little teeny bit about how a computer works, man, it just resolves all this mystery for them. Which I want for the world. Not everybody's going to be a software developer. That would be absurd.
No.
But everybody uses technology. So, okay, cool. Well, I think we should end off here. I know you're going to have to get ready for the tech talk, right? I appreciate the conversation. And it's been great seeing you again. We are very, very proud of you here.
Well, thank you. I enjoy coming back when I can and giving what I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, this is Jack Stanley again. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I'd like to leave you with a suggestion. We call this Jack's Random Tips. Today's tip is, to perpetuate your success as a software developer, it is vital that you continually educate yourself. Now, writing code on the job and being involved in various projects as part of your job is education in itself. But those who excel in the industry are those who go above and beyond in their continued development training. Tech changes rapidly, and new technology comes and goes. By the time you learn a new language or library, 5 or more others have come out. There are several ways to go about enhancing your skill set. Subscribe to popular tech sites. Regularly read tech news. Watch tutorials. The education can happen during or outside of work hours. This is one of the successful actions of highly paid developers. They continue to educate themselves, and then apply for higher and higher positions or contracts, each one requiring higher qualifications that they had achieved through persistence and hard work. ABL, always be learning. And as an obvious note, ABL is not only a smart policy in every industry, it's a great life policy. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. And again, if you are interested in enrolling in our Software Developer Bootcamp, please visit our website, learncodinganywhere.com. Whether you're looking for a career change, you're unemployed, or fresh out of high school, the Tech Academy is the perfect option for those interested in breaking into the technology industry.